I was the youngest player to play in the finals.
Really good place to start playing bridge.
How do they differ? What are the most amount of Bermudables in each one? We're with Marty Fleisher and Chip Martel, and Marty was inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And Chip, you were inducted in 2014?
Yes.
Okay, so can I know a little bit of how you guys got into bridge and how long you've been playing?
So when I was 8, my father wanted to learn so that he could do something with my mother when he retired. So he got my mother's brother to teach him, and I said I wanted to learn also. So, and my uncle was a very talented club player, and so he taught me, and we started to play together, and that's how I got involved in bridge.
I started at a similar age. My parents played bridge, and they taught both my sister and me to play at around that age, and we played a little bit as a family, but it wasn't serious until something like my sophomore year in high school. I happened to pick up 5 Weeks to Winning Bridge by Alfred Steinwald, which was on my parents' bookcase, and just devoured it and really got hooked then, and taught a number of my high school friends to play. A few already knew.
And so, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Urbana, Illinois, which is where the University of Illinois campus is, and that was a really good place to start playing bridge, since in addition to the high school games, after we got a little bit serious about that, we were able to move into the campus games and start playing in a game where, even though we were younger, most of the people playing at that time were college age, so not.
You were pretty good at a really young age.
Yeah, I got to be good pretty young then.
You were the youngest ever World Open Pairs champion back in 1982.
Yes.
So, and who were you partnering then?
My longtime partner, Lou Stansby. He and I were partners for almost 35 years. Lou was definitely a great player, like Marty, but not the same style, actually.
How do they differ?
Lou is more conservative. Marty's more willing to mix the pot and try and have things happen.
I will say I think the game has changed a bit since Lou was at his peak.
You have to be aggressive nowadays.
I think you have to be more aggressive, and there's a guy who's a friend of mine in Chips who didn't play for a long time, and when he started to play maybe 10 years ago off and on, he said he couldn't believe how much people bid as compared to when he was playing in the 80s, and you could like never have a constructive auction anymore because people just always bid. So I think the game did change over that time. So I think that if Lou were my age, he might play at the same, a similar style.
Speaking of which, so we're here at the Philadelphia North American Bridge Championships, and you guys took the Life Master pairs off to prepare for the Spingolds, right?
So there are 2 reasons for that. One, we tend to not play in pair events together for a bunch of reasons, and I think you'll find a lot of experienced pairs don't play in pair events. I used to really enjoy pair events with, Chip of course, but with other people, more or less people I liked. But that was when it started at 1 in the afternoon. I am really not a morning person. Okay. So to play 3 days in a row, slogging here at 10 in the morning, I just decided it wasn't worth it. I would start the Spingolds or the Vanderbilt exhausted, and I didn't want to do that. So here we have a chance to prepare, to read our notes, practicing a little both today and tomorrow against some friends, so we hopefully will be sharp for the Spingolds.
So plus you had your family here to celebrate.
I had my wife, I don't have children, but I had a lot of friends here for the Hall of Fame, in part because I live in New York City and it's just a train ride, so I had 20 or 25 people here. It's very exciting. Yes. Friends and family.
Was this your first year of eligibility?
No, I was eligible in theory 6 years ago, but somehow the birth dates got messed up, so they only put me on the ballot 5 years ago. I was on a couple of times. I didn't get chosen. I was off for a year, I think, and then I got chosen this time in part because of a campaign for me organized by Chip, and also because I've won a bunch of things. I was nominated the first time, so I mean, I had a better record.
So what has been your favorite win together? And how long have the two of you, let's talk about partnerships. How long have the two of you been playing together?
I think that we started to play in 2014. We played in the World Championship on the same team in 2013, but not as partners. We started playing in 2014.
You know, but the occasional national pair game for much earlier than that.
Right, and we played in the Cavendish pairs a few times together. So we had some experience playing together, an occasional regional.
And we have been friends really for more than 45 years.
Yeah.
So,
Now, Chip and Lou play on your team.
Yes.
For how many years prior before you started playing?
I think about 3, and then Chip played with Zia Mahmood for a couple of years. Things evolved.
Who are some of your early mentors? Because that's the thing, is to develop into who we are as bridge players.
Right. I would say the first really good player who took an interest in me was a guy named Ron Gerard, who I think is at this tournament. He was sort of a player from my area, and we had met, and I played with him a bunch of times, let's say in the 80s, even when I wasn't playing much. But he was a really top player who's also had a career and a family, so he never really has played that much. But I would say he's the first one who really taught me about the expert game.
And then for you?
a little bit of a funny thing, I could say. In a sense, it was Kit Woolsey, but not directly. He was a graduate student at the University of Illinois, but he actually left shortly before I started playing in games on campus. But there was a legacy that he had taught a bunch of players. Indirectly, those people that he had taught turned out to be useful mentors for me. And then later, when I was an undergraduate at MIT, and at that time there were a lot of really strong young players in the Boston area. So people like Mark Feldman and Bart Bramley and Mark Jacobus were all there at that time, and they were useful as mentors.
So when you guys started to develop your partnership, how similar were your styles to each other? How long did it take?
I think our styles were pretty similar, in part because, so we play a system that I think is called Swedish Club, but it's transfer responses to a club and unbalanced one diamond. It's a system that I started playing with Mike Camel, and when Chip and I decided that we were going to be partners, I said, well, what should we play? And he said, I want to play what you and Michael play. So that's...
How many notes do you guys have?
I think we have about 90 pages,
Okay.
which
What was the maximum at one point?
I would say the number of pages is also not necessarily a very well-defined metric of actually how much stuff you have. What are you going to say, Chip?
Well, I was going to say that it has grown a bit over the last 5 years, I would say.
Right.
The stuff about playing transfers and competition, more of the stuff in the 2/1
What are the most amount of Bermudables that he's won?
Probably Bob Hammond, who's won just a ton. He was on my team in 85 and 87. He had won several more with the Aces previously, and has also won several more since. Some of the blue team members also won a lot.
So, an interesting to Bermuda Bowl trivia, I think it was 1983, there was a team that won with Mike Becker and Ron Rubin and some other players. And since then, the U.S. has won the Bermuda Bowl between a third and half the time.
So Marty, your squad's 2017 Bermuda Bowl win.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Came after decades after your first national title.
When I was 17, I came in second in the Grand Nationals. I was still a club player. So I was the youngest player to play in the finals of a national knockout at the time. I still am, by the way. So
Really?
that record still holds. Another record, a little is that I believe in terms of people who have come in second in a national championship and then who have won something, it took me 27 years. I do not believe that anyone has ever won 27 years after being second. So it's a little bit of an infamous. I was second a lot before I won. I remember, I think it was to Chip, I was playing in some event. It wasn't with Chip. And he said, so how'd you do it? And I said, always a bridesmaid.
But he did win their intercollegiate back in, what was it, 77?
Yes.
That's bridge, persistence.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of losers in the room, right?
Yes, that's one thing you have to know about bridge. No matter how good a player you are, you will always lose a lot more often than you win.
Really quick, can I hear about your careers outside of bridge?
I studied philosophy in college. I then went to law school. I was a tax and employee benefits lawyer for many years, and I still am, actually. But in about 2000, I started to branch out into a bunch of financial-related enterprises, either managing money for people, or I started a weird investment fund, invested in other people's life insurance policies. And it's actually a pretty typical thing in the New York law world for people to sort of branch out into financial enterprises. So that's what I did, and I still do all three things. I practice law, I manage money, and I run this fund.
And it allows you to then hire teams.
Yes.
And get to play with people that you want to play with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And travel the world. What is your favorite tournament that you've gone to?
I have to say, I don't pay much attention to the location. I like the fact if the air conditioning in the room works. That's
Like
probably
your
the most
question
important.
here was how cold it was gonna be.
Right.
Good and convenient
It
restaurants.
was
Yes,
really
gooding.
pleasant.
Right. Winning the Bermuda Bowl in 2017 was probably my biggest thrill, and we won by 2 imps.
And
And
where was that one at?
it was in Lyon, France, which was not a place that I particularly liked, since I don't really like French food.
No.
No. In the final, we were behind, or maybe a little ahead, after 7 of the 9 sessions. Chip and I were going to be out the eighth session, and then in the 9th section. I went for a walk with my wife, and I didn't look at the score. Finally, she branched out. She wanted to buy some souvenirs, and I really had to head back. And we were down about 45 imps. And I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. Silver medal is great. I really like the French team. There won't be that much pressure in the last set, so that's fine. So then I continue to walk, and about 15 minutes, I look at the score, and we're up like 7. So now,
So what happened to get that big of a swing?
my teammates won a lot of imps. Brad Moss and Joe Grew, Michael Rosenberg,
How I learned how to play bridge was convincing all of you.
right? And the other was, I think, when we won the 2016 Spingolds with also Brad and Joe and Roy Welland and Sabine Auken, because we played Zimmerman in the final. We'd lost to several times in a very close match, and Chip and I were in the 4th quarter, and we had done really well, and Brad and Joe came out, and they really weren't sure, and we won us by a small amount, so it was very exciting.
So how are you guys feeling about bridge? Because we had all of those years where we had the cheating scandals and stuff. Are you feeling things are more fair nowadays?
Yeah, I think it's certainly cleaner than it was. You know, with the best thing we have is in the United States Bridge Championships, where we play on tablets, so that there's really good security, not just for against the active cheating, but also a lot of the sort of incidental cheating that goes on, of people taking advantage of hardness, tempo, and manner.
Yeah, I love that. It was my favorite bridge experience.
It's really a great tournament.
It is.
I mean,
It's fantastic.
And many of my European or Australian friends really say, yes, that's really the best tournament in the world, is your trials.